Rockstar won't let us have GTA 4 remastered, so we're gonna take things into our own hands. So it's no secret that the GTA Trilogy remaster was a bust. Rockstar gave no craps when we were releasing it, sold it for a really high price, and then came out with something looking like this. And it turns out that when there's bad fan reception of something that you don't give any craps about, you won't continue to give craps about the next thing. So GTA 4 Remastered, which was rumored to be in the works, is now officially canceled. And considering Rockstar wants to milk GTA 5 for another half decade, yummers, we have to take matters, again, into our own hands to come up with the best mod that we can for GTA 4. And thankfully, the modding community was at one point strong for this game, so let's see what we can delve on into. We're gonna make this 14-year-old game look immaculate. 8K, ray tracing, get ready for it. So what we need to accomplish this are a few things. Updated game textures to make it look better, minor fun tweaks, add a trainer to test the mods, and then of course, ray tracing. And we're gonna be testing it on the highest end equipment that we could get our hands on. We're gonna run it on an i9 and an RTX 3090 Ti. So if it can't run on this, it can't run on your computer either. So in order to get all of this to work, you have to start by downgrading your GTA 4 if you're using the most recent Steam edition, because it works with Rockstar Launcher and that corrupts the mod somehow. So we're working with version 1.0.7 in order to get the most compatibility. We're using Alaga textures, which gives us a complete graphical upscale of the game's texture to make it look like it's more recent than 2008. We've got better street textures, which helps to improve the overall look and feel of the streets and sidewalks in the game. It's marginal, but it's smaller details like this and the Alaga textures that add up to a much newer experience. Then we toss in the vegetation textures by Bison Scales Variety Pack to retexture the leaves and plants. And then for the last little bit of graphical stuff, we add in reshade, which gives us different color grading, anti-aliasing, the ray tracing using Marty McFly's reshade ray tracing shader to add that all in. In case you want to do this yourself, the ray tracing shader is a $5 a month setup on Patreon, but it is the most beautiful mod on the list and helps to make any game look that much better. It gives you access to regrade, Solaris, and RTGI modifiers in reshade. And the complicated part of it is that you have to get the depth layers to work properly, and that took us a little bit to figure out because it has to use the depth layers provided by the game in order to do all of the ray tracing calculations, and that was the biggest thing that we had to figure out while doing this with GTA 4 was just manipulating on that, and there's plenty of resources online for you to figure that out, but it was the most tweaky part of the concept. And Kyler also decided to download this Spider-Man skin because he thought it was awesome, but it broke the character model and he doesn't have a midsection. Or feet. Then for extra little goodnesses, we have the GTA 4 sound overhaul, which alters several sound files, and it's one of the most downloaded mods on Nexus Mods. We also throw in the Pagani Zonda R because it's the best car ever made. We also had huge explosions, because why wouldn't you want huge ray traced explosions? And the Liberty's Legacy Trainer, which allows us to actually change a lot of the things in the game, show what the mod's capable of with God mode, making sure you don't die, you can fly around, spawn all the stuff you want, it's good, and you can save in different places. You don't have to go into that bed. Also, the anti-aliasing in GTA 4, not great. So one of the easiest ways we found to overcome this was by using NVIDIA's dynamic super resolution. You can actually upscale the resolution of the game, but still get the output. And that helped to reduce a lot of the jaggies that we were seeing at 1080p. The anti-aliasing settings in the game work good enough, but you can upscale it to 8K in case your computer can handle it, which I don't think it can because our 3090 Ti couldn't really get more than 8 FPS with everything turned on. So those are the mods that we actually used, but in order to get all of that set up, we had to use Open4, which is the ultimate modding tool for GTA 4, allowing you to control everything. You have to use the GTA 4 downgrader, as we mentioned, because the Rockstar version isn't very happy with mods, so you downgrade the version to 1.0.7.0. So the downgrader actually gives you different options. You can go to 1080, 1070, or 1040, and we had more compatibility issues at 1080, so we went to 1070 instead, but you can have the options in case you want those. We also use Script Hook and ASI loader, which helped to make the mods a little bit more compatible with the game, because that was essentially what we had to do. We had to make the game compatible with the mods because Rockstar decided to make it uncompatible when they upgraded everything to support the Rockstar launcher, because they actually don't care about the community at large. Oh no, did I just say that? Script Hook's gonna come with the GTA 4 downgrader, but ASI loader has to be added in separately in case you want to use that. This all culminates in everything being put together, turned on, and GTA 4 looking like it wasn't made in 2008. We knew we weren't going to come up with GTA 6. This is not Unreal Engine 5 with everything natively baked in, but what we do have is fundamentally a better looking and better feeling experience than we got with the original GTA 4. Plus, we have things like 4K and 8K support, which we're just going to run at 4K on the 3090 Ti, because even that was still roughly 30 FPS. But considering it took Kyler about a day or two of researching and implementing these mods in order to get GTA 4 to go from this over to this, I think Rockstar, if they listened to the community at large, realized that we wanted them to make any sort of effort at all with their team of paid employees, they could do something that's even similar, and they would just have to price it appropriately, and I think the community would respond a lot better than they did to the cash grab that was the GTA Trilogy Remastered. Do you want to come and talk about it?
Hey, what's up, nerds? I'm K Swizzles. Hey, look, Brett doesn't like it when I hold the microphone like this.
Just to elaborate on what Brett was saying about the Alaga textures, the better street textures, the different textures that we added, a lot of that is 4K upscales of the original textures in the game, so it's going to look mostly the same. I gotta say, the amount of effort that went into this was silly. Nothing quite wanted to work the right way the very first go-around. We ran into lots of issues where Nico wouldn't load into the game, he would disappear, and for some reason the fix would be to Alt-Tab out and Alt-Tab back in, but that didn't always work either. A lot of the issues that we ran into in the game whenever trying to upscale it to 8K was that depending on which hertz we were trying to run the game at, we would just get these weird graphical errors like the walls not being there or the floor and the roads and the ground not being there. It took a lot of tinkering, and in the end, I'm not even quite sure what actually fixed it, but what seemed like the best solution was to just render it in 4K rather than 8K. Turns out, when you try to do weird things to a 14-year-old game like this with technology that didn't quite exist back in that era, it freaks out.
Who knew?
Also, just to be clear, OpenIV, I'm not 100% certain if it's something that's actually needed or not. Almost every mod that I saw for this game mentions OpenIV being needed, but it seems to me just like a fancy directory, like an easy way to manage your game files. I used it out of fear, not knowing if things would work without it, not wanting to have to reinstall the game 37 times. It did its job, I guess. I was able to modify the files and to click through the root directory properly. That's really what it does. It's not a mod loader, it's a navigation tool. And if it does something else, I'm just not quite sure what it is. A big thing that I've run into is that a lot of the resources for modding this game are just so old and so clunky that it's really hard to understand what's actually happening. A lot of videos that I find are made by teenagers from 2010, 2011. They have a lot of the classic notepad instructions with music playing in the background. But as weird as this was, and as rough as it was for something as crazy as a 3090 Ti to be struggling running GTA 4, it sure do look pretty.
So that's it, GTA 4.5. Not quite GTA 6, but it's not too hard to get it set up in case you were waiting for the GTA 4 remaster and Rockstar stole your heart from you. Let us know what your favorite mod was. Which setting did you do? Have you tinkered with making GTA 4 look and feel better? Let us know down below in the comments, and also let us know what game you want us to check out next.